go.
Streaming from South Africa to the world. This is the Stonks Go Moon podcast. What just happened? We break it down so you don't have to.
Welcome everyone to the Stonks Go Moon podcast. My guest today, Brian Fanzo, is a digital futurist speaker and founder of the NFT 365 podcast. Brian, welcome to the pod.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
It is an absolute pleasure. I'm so glad to be actually speaking to you at the moment because I know you were in London, currently in Canada on your back way to the States. Let's talk about London and the NFT scene and what actually happened, because there's a lot of negative things that are coming out on social media, and you were there firsthand. What was it like for you? What was good and what was bad?
Well, I'll start off by saying, this was my 13th Web3 event in the last year. So I'm pretty seasoned in these events. It was, in my personal opinion, I've been to two NFT NYCs, and NFT NYC is the parent company of London. The quality of content and the quality of networking in London was better than both of those other ones. I was going to put that right out the gate. I know some of the narrative that was spread on Twitter. Someone took a picture in between sessions and made it seem like no one was there. I will tell you, the NFT New York, everything was disjointed, different locations. And I mean, I had an 8:30 a.m. speaking spot in New York last June, and I had to beg, bum, steal friends to get up early and get there. I think we probably had 85 people in the audience that time. But at this event in London, they picked a beautiful location, all in one building, which I absolutely loved. I ran into everybody that I wanted to run into. If I had to chalk up my goal at a conference, I had 6 people that I had been to multiple conferences with that I hadn't run into. I ran into all 6 of them. And so that part of it was great. The energy was vibrant. Much more diversity on stage than previous time. I give a big, we're moving, we haven't got there yet, but we're moving in the right direction. I will say that, I was a little disappointed in some of the speakers, not because of what they showed, but they didn't show up. There were a lot of people that claimed their speak badge and then no-showed their panel. Wow. And I put out a tweet that I'm very loud that I hope they never get a speaking gig again at those events, because there were a lot of people that would have killed for that. And it was a 25-minute, you sit on a panel, you talk. And there was multiple panels where they had 5 names on the wall and 3 people on stage, or 2 people on stage. And to me, some people have excuses, but that would really be the only downside for me. I was actually disappointed in some of our fellow NFT community members, the fact that, they took the opportunity to get the free ticket, but didn't even just deliver in the one promise that they had to deliver. But overall, I mean, the Bored and Hungry truck was there, serving free French fries. I mean, the amount of swag that I got was out of this world. I mean, they did a great job with swag. So for me, overall, great event.
So why do you think that narrative got painted on Twitter? Was it just someone looking for sensation and then everyone piggybacking off of it?
Right now, we're living in a must be nice state of NFTs where everyone looks at everyone else and say, must be nice that you were in London. Must be nice that you have a Bored Ape. Must be nice that you were on the Art Gobbler's, whitelist. And so I think, unfortunately, this must be nice culture allows for people to pile on things that they're either jealous for, they weren't included on, or they take the time. I will tell you, It cost me a ton of money to bring myself and my team to London. I didn't get paid. They didn't pay for my hotel. They didn't pay for my airfare. I speak for a living, so that's my bread and butter. It was about $7,000 USD that I put out to be there. And so for those that look at it and say it must be nice, I think we sometimes forget that every person that was there that was showing up, that was us wanting to level up the community, level up the people that we are with. And I do think we're living right now in a time where it's more fun for people to amplify and make fun of things than it is to kind of celebrate good things that are happening, unfortunately.
Absolutely agree with you. Let's talk about the state of NFTs. Where, in your opinion, you're an OG in this space. Where do you think we are at the moment?
Well, I think with the hype cycle, I think when you think about, the bear market is one thing, but a lot of people were looking at excuses to pull the trigger and back out. Let's face it, there's a lot of NFT project founders that just got in over their head.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was also a lot of people that are looking for the last summer crypto 100x boom that they heard about, and they're a little bit jaded that it doesn't exist anymore, because it does not. Let's make it very clear. But I struggle, because I think there's a lot of good things being built right now, but there's also a lot of excuses being made to why certain things don't work. And I will tell you, like, relationships, networking, and communities, they aren't impacted by the bear market. Like, the bear market doesn't make the value of a community any less. I would actually argue great communities value increases when we're all struggling in the other aspects of our world. But I do think we are in an interesting state where I think we're struggling to understand, what do we really want out of NFTs? And I think there's a lot of people that own a lot of NFTs that they now realize they never even figured that out. And then there's others that are like, they're being a little bit more selective with what they're buying, which I think is a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
But now when you're being selective, it can change your energy and your emotion, kind of ties to this NFT space.
That's a very good point. Let's talk about some positives. Reddit is making great inroads into the NFT space by actually just sort of that negative connotation that the word NFT has, because I say the word NFTs to someone on the street and say, "Oh, the monkey pictures." Right? That's what you get. I mean, I think that's sort of neither here nor there. It's not anyone's fault per se, but that is the connotation. And Reddit went and said, "Okay, cool. Let's flip the script. Let's call it digital collectibles." And that's a major success story.
Yeah, I think the narrative is really interesting, right? Because it goes with everything, right? People have an impression of what crypto is, an impression of what NFTs are. And I think the more important thing with the Reddit conversation is that Reddit actually found a way for the digital value and ownership to be valuable to Reddit community members. I think that's more important. Like, I think we get lost in they use the word collectible.
Yes.
What they did is they said, "Hey, you like custom avatars. What if you could own your avatar?" That's what people wanted. They just presented it in a collectible form. And I think the other part of this is so crazy is that NFT, like non-fungible token, right? There's fungible tokens, there's non-fungible tokens.
Mm-hmm.
The use cases are extraordinary, yet the media use cases are the collectible darlings of Bored Apes and CryptoPunks. And so in a way, like, I mean, I got the email today from Starbucks that my Starbucks account was approved to be one of the Starbucks initial purchasers of one of the Starbucks NFTs. I just literally got it within the last 30 minutes.
Awesome.
And it's funny because they're using Voyager stickers is the name that they're using, right? And we can only buy them with USD. It's only available in the United States to start off with.
Yes.
But the thing I like about it is they immediately presented me with something that I would buy, because it's going to give me a discount on future Starbucks things. And like, that's where we have to think about this moving forward. I think we start with NFTs and try to work backwards. Let's start at like the problems we can solve and figure out where NFTs kind of fit in those problem solving.
Love it. So I think that's where the natural conversation goes. It goes to the creators, right? And let's talk about what's going on in the space, because like many of them have closed up shop, have stopped creating, communities have died. One of the issues is the ongoing debate and discussion where OpenSea is involved, for instance, over the ongoing royalty issue, right? So some people saying the creators need royalties to infinity. Other ones saying, "Oh, it's a once-off, you mint and that's it." Kind of, what is the solution here? What fits both parties, I guess?
I'm not sure if there is something that was both parties. I think right now the loudest people in the space are those that are looking for short-term financial gain. And unfortunately, because they're the loudest, they're kind of putting pressure on people to think about protecting their percentage. But we have to take a step back and recognize, what the hell does this all mean? What is Web3 about? What is blockchain about? I am 1,000% on the creator royalties being on-chain, integrated into contracts. I will not be supporting projects or platforms that remove that. Personally, I will make that a mission of mine. It's part of why I love NFTs. Like, I tell people, I say, how do we remove the starving from the starving artist? We allow them to get paid every time the thing that they did changes hands. And I know people will say, well, that doesn't happen when you buy a car. The car company doesn't make money. Well, last time I checked, that's why car companies continue to keep building, because they have no incentive to make the car valuable so that reshare, they get pieces of it. Imagine if we did that in our world, right? Imagine if the car company got a percentage of 10% every time a car was sold. How much more would they put into oil changes and helping us keep the value of our cars up? And we would have less cars on the road. It'd be better for the environment. They would focus more on models that make sense and innovation. And so I look at this as, I mean, this is, in my opinion, one of the most critical, most critical touch points of this space, is that we really have to rally behind and say, do we really care about, creators? And I'm sorry for those that, I'm very transparent here. I flip NFTs. I bought 3 NFTs last night. I sold 2 of them within an hour. So I'm not like the guy that's like on one side or the other, but I know I built into my margin 12% has to go directly to the creators in the marketplace. Therefore, when I'm flipping and I'm thinking about my cost average, I know that 12% is gone. The idea that we all of a sudden feel like that 12%, and maybe the marketplaces should shrink down. I know Blur is at 0.5, 0.5%, where OpenSea is at 2.5. But it's funny, those platforms are talking about creator percentages, but they're not talking about lowering their percentage, which is part of this, like, it feels like Instagram, Facebook days all over again, where they want us to take less, but they're not willing to open that conversation up themselves. So I'm very passionate on the creator royalty side of the fence.
You brought up Instagram now, and Instagram recently joined the party with NFTs, very late, some would say. But there's an interesting dynamic, whereas you use Instagram, parent company of Meta, now through an iOS device, which is the most popular in the world. My own podcast, when it started, went from almost 80% Spotify users down to something like 25, completely flipped the script if you look at the Apple ecosystem. So now you've got that dominant player, right? Effectively becoming a gatekeeper, sort of a gatekeeper for NFTs in the mobile space, taking 30% tax, putting up a walled garden, not facilitating crypto payments. I mean, as much as we want to ignore it, it is sort of an issue, right?
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised people probably a little bit online. I'm actually a believer in Mark Zuckerberg's vision for the future of metaverse and getting internet to the world. Like, I sit on that fence, but I do believe some of the short-term decisions don't kind of demonstrate that. I think part of what we have to think about it is like, we think about it from like what they're not doing for our like non-fungible token decentralized community. Yes. But if we think about it the other way, like, many people have posted like the logo of their podcast that they want to create onto Instagram, and they posted it, they start creating it, and someone else bigger than them steals that logo, puts it out, and starts using it. Where do we have to go? Like, it's really hard to prove ownership in even something as simple as validating that I was the first to post it, right? And so for me, that's a solved problem that Instagram can help us provide, right? Like, I want a button that says, and we know this is coming, right? Where it's like, I post something and say, mint this as a like soul-bound token to my wallet, just to prove that I put it on the blockchain on this day. I think those are good things. I think we're gonna have to deal with some of this like ridiculousness with like how the narrative they're using. I mean, Apple, let's face it, Apple isn't helping, and I'm a big Apple fanboy. They're saying that they're going to allow NFTs, but not going to be allowed NFT gating. But we saw that with like kind of the game companies, right? They initially were like, hey, everything's good. Then they shut the door down. And now they're opening it back up because they want to control some of the ecosystem. I can guarantee you Apple is going to just increase. What they're going to do is they're going to put it on the developer side. And they're going to say developers that want to token gate are going to have to pay a premium for their app to be in the marketplace, or get less of a percentage off of their price. But mark my words, a year from now, we're going to see token gating with NFTs in apps and Facebook. And I can almost look at it from a Facebook percentage, that I think Facebook's will shrink the percentage that they're taking, but they will increase the importance of you minting on their blockchain, right? Which is, or on through their app. And I'm okay with that. I think I'm okay with we have to give and take a little bit. And let's face it, Meta still, hate them or love them, they have the R&D and the budget to really take some of this technology and innovation to the next level.
Brian, before I let you leave, what would you like to see from creators in the next kind of 6 to 12 months in this space? What would Brian like to see?
Well, the first thing is, I would say, I think all creators have to pause who they look up to and who they respect in the Web3 space and re-examine from right now. There's a lot of people that are put on a pedestal because of what they did a year ago or because of who they were associated with. And I think that's unfortunate because I think they're leading us down spaces that probably we shouldn't go. So that's my first challenge for everybody is ask hard questions, be curious. When someone tells you this is the best platform, best marketplace, best, push back. Why? What have you seen? How are you using it? So that would be one of the places I would say. Another piece of it is I really look at education as more than just putting out content. It's taking it, I call it, train the trainer model, right? It's one thing for us to teach people the fundamentals. It's another thing to empower them to teach others the fundamentals. And I think the only way we can go there is if more people are creating content, more people are, I'm so bullish on podcasts and YouTube videos. I'm the anti-competitive one on this side, right? I'm super excited to be on this show with you. I'm all for amplifying and supporting because we need more people providing more entry points. And right now it's hard. And I hate to see this trend right now is we almost are defaulting.
Yes.
Oh, I don't need to create a video on MetaMask because Gary Vee created one that has millions of views. Well, last time I checked, that was old, and not everyone loves Gary Vee. Yeah. And there are people in your audience that trust you, and they want to hear from you. And so I think for creators, they have to think of it that way. And the last thing I'll just throw out is for all creators, be a collector before you create a T project. It's my soapbox, it's my ask right now, because it's not only investing in others, but there's so many beautiful components of being an owner of an NFT that unlocks that will help us be better creators of NFT projects. And, it's a rule of thumb for my consulting. I actually had a call an hour ago, and unfortunately I told them, I was like, it's not that you have to be more embedded in the NFT space, but I want you to go collect. I gave them advice. I said, I want you to collect one that you love the art. I want collect one that you love the utility, and collect one that your friends are in that you've seen a bunch in. And I want you just to own those three, see that experience, onboarding the experience of it, and then come back to me. And now let's talk about what you want to execute on. So I think that's probably my last and probably most important soapbox right now is be a collector before you're a creator of NFTs.
I absolutely love it. Brian, if the people want to connect with you and find out what it is that you do and take this conversation further, where can they do that?
Well, you mentioned the podcast. We are wrapping up season 1, a daily podcast. So it'll be 365 episodes in 2 days, which is insane. Season 2 is going to start. I'm brought on 4 other co-hosts, so I'm not going to be the one doing it every day. I brought on some other voices, 2 female, 2 male. Excited to kind of bring that to life. I am iSocial Fans with a Z or a Z at the end on every social channel. You can literally find me from Pinterest to Snapchat to Instagram, iSocial Fans with a Z at the end. And I would say Twitter is my where I'm most active. I have been most active for 10 years. And so feel free to hit me up on Twitter, look at my pinned tweets, check out the content I have over there. But it's a lot of fun. I appreciate you having me on.
Dude, you are an absolute juggernaut. Ladies and gentlemen, NFT OG, Brian Fanzo, thank you so much for joining us. To our listeners, peace, love, and prosperity. And we'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.